So I have decided it is time to start pruning out some of these old Floricanes from these Primark Freedom berries that had the freeze damage. If you will remember, Dr. Clark said leave them. He said you can either leave them or take them out. He said, but I would leave them. If it was him and he was the one that designed the berry, he said I would leave them for a little while till the Floricanes start getting established. Now, I don't know what he meant by established, and I believe that was the word he used. But I have Floricanes that are up, and I've already pinched off a bunch of them. I'll show you that. Pruning, how to prune the tops, maybe in another video. Right now, we're pruning out the Floricane berries. Not all of them. I'm leaving a few. Some of them did wind up growing some berries on the Floricanes from last year. Reblooming, and I didn't really think they would, but they did. Rebloomed and are growing a few berries. That's a pretty good sized one right there, not bad. But the vast majority of them did not. But he said leave them, and that the leaves of the old canes, the leaves of the Floricane, the dead, with the dead blossoms on them, will provide I forget what it said, photo, something like that, to help the new canes, the Floricanes, on their journey upward, to give them some energy, to give them whatever they need for that. He said, until they become established. Now, just looking at them right now, so many of them look pretty dadgum established. But basically, I'm coming here, and like this one here, especially this one, these are laying out in the aisles. These are just out in the aisles, so they got to go. They're not doing any good. The Floricanes coming out of this specific tub where this one is doing real well. So I think it is established and going to be fine on its own. I have fertilized a couple of times. I believe it's time to start pulling most of them out. Now the one on the end is a Ouachita. I'm not going to mess with it right now, because the berries on it are still viable. It did make berries. It bloomed late and made berries. But all this growth here, all this stuff hanging out in the aisles, and a lot of it sticking up too. And it's shading out these new canes, these Floricanes. And that's just not what I want. So I'll come down here now, I'll cut that. And let me just get my shears. Maybe I can do some of that one-handed for you. So like this one, that's blocking my aisle when I want to mow, laying out there. I'll go in here. I'm not necessarily going, especially right now trying to show you, I'm not going to go all the way back to the bottom of the tub, because I just can't see that well unless I've got two hands and can move stuff out of the way. So I'm just kind of showing you this stuff that's hanging out in the aisle, and those are spent pretty much. I mean, they're done. They look as if they've already produced a crop, which they did not do, but they think they did, and that's the main thing. They think they produced a crop, and they're just so happy for having done me all that good. There's another one up in here. I think I can get to it with one hand. That's a long one. But I'm pruning these out. Again, not necessarily going all the way back. To the bottom of the container, to the ground, in other words. I'm not necessarily going all the way back to the ground. Could, should, maybe, but I'm giving them a little bit more of an opportunity for those leaves to provide whatever Dr. Clark said they needed. That one is obviously dead. Been dead for a while. Well, that's going the other way. That's from this tub. But I'm really taking care not to clip out, not to cut out one of these nice, beautiful Floricanes that are coming up. And I'm trying to make sure the Floricanes are inside my wire, training them, the ones that are tall enough, training them to go inside the wire, not outside the wire. And like this one, I can get him maybe way down in there, maybe down at the very root. That's a big one there. And I'm just going to pile these up and take them to the burn pile. Really need to get rid of them once you prune them. Don't just let them lay, and I do that sometimes. Just let them go, and then I'll mow them, cut them up. But really should, for best practices, disease-wise, you should go ahead and get them out. And I don't know where that one's coming from, but I'm gonna cut him off. Like I say, some of them I'm just cutting off at a very convenient place for me, and not necessarily at the origin of their growth. So this is what it's supposed to look like after it's pruned out. Like I say, I'm gonna leave that one alone. It's got a lot of growth in it. Those two actually, because some of them got berries on them. But you should have, depending on where you live, you should have a lot of primocane growth from your Primark Freedoms or whatever berry you have that was hurt in the freeze. So I'm gonna load these up. I've already got a bunch of them loaded up in the golf cart. I'll load these up, put them on the burn pile, and I'll show you again in about a week or two what they look like, and I'll expect them to look really, really good. Really, really good, because they look good right now. And I've already started nipping them off right there when they reach the top wire of the trellis and go above it, maybe 3 or 4 inches. I'm nipping them off. I'm pinching them off or cutting them off, and then they'll start getting, they do 2 things. They'll start getting laterals, which is what you want. Your canes coming off. This is what a lateral is going to be. That little bud right there that's going to come moving up from here. And that's going to be where most of the berries are made, is on those laterals. So don't cut the laterals off. I had someone ask me the other day about pruning off laterals. No, 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 no. But they also do something else I've noticed. When you pinch the top or prune the top, like I did right there, the canes start getting big. I mean, they really start getting some girth to them. And I don't know, I guess it's because they know they're not going any taller, so they're just going to get fatter. That's kind of the way I was about 50 years ago. I figured it wasn't going to get any taller, so heck, I just get fatter. Probably not a good thing to do, but it is reality. All right, I just told way too much about myself. All right, that's what they look like. Got a few berries from last year's Floricanes that were late, coming late, and the rest of these, most of the rest of these, I'm not going crazy with it, but most of the rest of these are getting pruned out. I'm leaving a few, but not a whole lot. I think we're going to have a bumper year for primocanes, and probably a bumper year for primocane berries. I don't know, I don't see any reason these primocanes are up and growing and doing real well. I don't see any reason that these primocanes will not just really load up with some good summer and berries even into the fall. I just noticed something. This may or may not be a thing. This tub here has got some Floricanes with berries on it. It's one I just showed you a while ago, and it's not sending up quite as many primocanes. And it could very well be that if it's making berries like these, if it's making berries, then that tub or that plant, that mother plant, is not going to send up as many primocanes until those berries are spent. So it might help if I cut that off, since it's just a few berries. But I'm gonna go ahead and leave it, I think. Just kind of experiment with it and see what's going on. All right, looking good so far. Hope yours are too. Get out there and prune. It may be time. All right, we're gone.